So here is my feedback for the lesson Laws of Exponents. The standard was 8EE1. Know and apply the properties of integer exponents to generate equivalent numerical expressions. So I always like to pull out the standard map. Just take a look, make sure it has everything from 8EE1. I like to look at all the do's. So we have a lot. I like this one, recognize incorrect use of integer exponents. Real world situations, all right. Write repeated multiplication, division expressions using powers. Look at the additional information. I can see what students had in 6th grade. And I know we need to do positive and negative exponents. And that students need to be able to generate equivalent expressions. All right, so I look at the examples, simplifying, knowing that sum to the 0 power equals 1, more complex simplifying. And I like this one where they have to select all the expressions that have a value between 0 and 1. And that's a little different. Okay, so I'm going to keep all that in mind when I look at the lesson. They do have a note that this one is only going to focus on positive exponents. I wrote a little note that that's interesting. I know the standard obviously calls for negative exponents, but my guess is they're just going to spend a day maybe developing the rules with positive. So I'm going to keep that in mind as I look through. These are the mathematical practices they claim to address. I liked the opening where they had to draw representations of these. And this says they're addressing mathematical practice 4 and 2. I always need to refer back to mine. Modeling with mathematics, I definitely agree with that. And reasoning abstractly and quantitatively. I definitely think the modeling applies. I think depending on how they describe it, we wouldn't be quite sure we would hit that second mathematical practice. But I really liked that opening. And again, we're starting with having students explain their answers. I really liked that. I made a note that I liked this visual representation. It really emphasizes what a square number is. And I thought it was more conceptual than procedural. I think a lot of times we just write the laws of exponents on the board. And I liked that this way the students are really discovering them. So I highlighted a lot of the things I liked about this lesson. I even made a note of what a possible similar problem could be. And I really liked here how they used a counterexample. The kids came up with a tentative rule, and then they gave them a problem that had different bases, and they had to discuss how it was similar or different, and then maybe decide their rule wouldn't work, and they had to refine the rule. I really liked that, having them discover that. I added a note here when you present this problem that I would have students write in words what that actually represents to make sure they really understood what the division was going on there. And I also added, since we had an example about showing that something to the 0 power equals 1, I think kids lots of times have a hard time understanding why that's true. So I really wanted them to discover that using the division law so that they could subtract the exponents and see that 3 to the 0 would equal 1. I like how they started with numbers and then they went to variables. I had the suggestion that maybe here they could use a Kahoot activity. I liked that. And I thought maybe students here could create a graphic organizer or a foldable after this. So they would have something concrete to take away. I also really liked this homework problem where they had to create 2 law problems where it would give you this answer. I thought that was a little higher level. So overall, I thought they did a good job looking at the conceptual over procedural and the students discovering the rules. I really liked that. I think the only thing they didn't include was negative exponents, which I'm guessing they're going to do next. So I'm interested to see if your feedback was similar to mine.